All right, so we are going to talk about adding and subtracting fractions. I know everybody's favorite. All right, so let's just get started. It's of a fraction. Remember, the top part of a fraction is called a numerator, and the bottom is called a denominator. So the top is a numerator, the bottom is a denominator. The main thing we need when adding and subtracting fractions are common denominators. So what that really means is that we need the same numbers, these numbers in here, the same numbers in the denominators. And if they're not, then we need to change them. So like, look at these denominators. This has a 6 and a 6. Those are the same. So cool, then we'd be able to add or subtract them. Are these denominators the same? No, right? So we'll have to figure out how to get common denominators. You might remember, so that's cool if you do. If not, we're going to go over it, so don't worry. So let's just talk about some steps to adding and subtracting fractions. Here's a song that's like all about that bass, okay? So here's a song like that. If you want to remember it, cool. If not, that's cool too. So the steps. We want to get common denominators. Okay, we want to get common denominators by finding factors they share. That'll make sense in a second. Once we have common denominators, then we add or subtract just the numerators. That's important, just the numerators. And then we simplify. Either put it in simplest form or AKA into a mixed number. And we'll review how to do that too. Okay, so let's look at the first example. Do these have common denominators? Is it the same number in the bottom? Yes, so then all we do is just look at the numerators, just the numerators. So what is 6 plus 5? 6 plus 5 is 11. Our numerator just comes along. And then we have 11 pieces of 8. We want to write that as a mixed number. So here's a visual for you. There we go. So we want to put them, how many times does 8 go into 11? Well, think about if we put them into groups. Here's one group with 3 out of 8 left over. Okay, so you don't have to do the dot thing, but that's just a visual. So 8 goes into 11 one time, and there's 3 left over. So that's how we find the mixed number. Let's do the next one. Do we have common denominators? Yes. So then we add or subtract our numerators. In this case, it's 11 minus 3. 11 minus 3 is 8. And then we just bring our denominator down. So, or across. 8 over 12. That can be simplified because that's not in simplest form. So think about what's a number that we can divide both 8 and 12 by. We can divide them both by 2, but something a little bigger maybe, like 4. And 8 divided by 4 is 2. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So then our answer is 2/3. If like on a test you left as 8/12, that would be wrong, especially if it says put it in simplest form. Okay, C, do we have common denominators? Yes. So then we just look at the numerators. And anytime we see minus a negative, we should do keep, change, change. So really it's 4 plus 2. 4 plus 2 is 6 out of 6. If I have 6 pieces of 6, how many groups do I have? 1. So it should simplify to 1. Okay, so that was just adding and subtracting with common denominators. Now we're going to do some without common denominators. Okay, so these are going to get a little tricky because we have to find common denominators first. So as I said, looking down here, they aren't common denominators. So we have to think of what's a number that we can turn both 8 and 4 into. Well, I know we can get this 4 to be an 8, right? 8, 4 times something gives me 8. So I'm going to make my denominator 8. If you can't think of anything, just multiply those two numbers together, and you could use that as your denominator. So since I didn't do anything to the second one, I'm just going to leave it as 5/8 and my plus sign. But 4 times what gives me 8? We said 2. What I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. So 3 times 2 is 6. And now I can just add my numerators because I have common denominators. So 6 plus 5 is 11/8. How many times does 8 go into 11? Goes 1 time with 3 left over. Okay. Let's do that again. So let's find common denominators between 10 and 5. So can 10 go into 5? No, but 5 times something can give me 10, right? So we're going to make our denominators 10. Since I didn't change this denominator, I don't change the numerator. It just comes down. Bring your minus sign down. 5 times what gives me 10? 5 times 2. What I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. So now we have 2 times 2 becomes 4. 5 times 2 becomes this 10. And now that we have this, we can just subtract our numerators. 8 minus 4 is 4/10. Is there a number that I can simplify that with? Yeah, right. I can divide them both by 2. What is 4 divided by 2? 2. 10 divided by 2? 5. So our answer is 2/5. Okay. I want you to try C on your own. Try C on your own right. Maybe you've noticed that they both can go into 12. If you can't think of 12, just multiply them and get 24. Then you'll just have to simplify at the bottom, okay, or at the end. So keep on going now that you know it's 12. Hopefully you said, okay, 6 times 2 is 12, 5 times 2 is 10. Don't lose this negative sign though. I almost forgot it. So don't lose that negative, okay? And then 3 times 3 is 9, 4 times 3 is 12. So now we just add them, right? Now we just add them. What's negative 10 plus 9? You should get negative 1/12. Okay, last one. We have this whole number 1. Think about what we did for C up here. We had a 6/6 and it became 1. So what do you think I can do with this 1 to get common denominators? Could I maybe do 7/7? Negative 7/7? Right? Because we want this same number. And just like up here, we had 6 pieces of 6, so that equals 1. We have 7 pieces of 7, so we're just replacing that 1 with that. And I'm just going to write minus 4/7. Okay? Now that we have common denominators, again, we just add. Negative 7 plus negative 4 is negative 11/7. What does that simplify to? Negative 1 and 4/7. Okay? All right, make sure you ask questions in class tomorrow.